Everybody knows at this point that Trevor is kind of a lunatic, or at least it may seem that way on the surface. But when you take a deeper dive into his psyche, his actions could be justified in a way found slightly more acceptable. Most of the time, whenever he kills someone or destroys something, there is a reason behind it. For example, when he kills the entire O'Neill bloodline, he only had done that because they had taken over a business transaction that he was about to close. And the Chinese only chose to go with the O'Neills due to the massive gunfight caused by Ortega's men. Granted, Ortega only sent his men to Trevor because he pushed his trailer into the Zancudo River, but Trevor only did that to ensure that Trevor Phillips Enterprises gets all of the arms and drug smuggling to themselves. He then, of course, takes care of the O'Neills for taking over the deal that they didn't start, and it's also important to mention that during this time, he finds out that Michael is potentially still alive, which may throw off his mental slightly as he grieved Michael, loved him. But Michael also could have answers that Trevor has been seeking for closure. So he has to balance his business and his own emotions throughout all of this. Now I ask the question, is Trevor really a bad person? Well, it's hard to tell, and I will present all the facts in this video, and then you can make up your own mind about whether that answer is true or false. Because although some things are very cut and dry, Trevor really just isn't, and we'll get into that in today's video. It is crucial to mention that he also believes that Brad has been alive since the attempted robbery in North Yankton. He gets emails from Brad, but we later find out that Dave Norton is the one sending these messages all along. Just imagine having a good friend for a long time, being close enough to rob a bank with him, get busted, and believe that he is dead, only to find out that he's alive and well inside of prison, no less. Only to then find out that he is not alive and actually died a very long time ago during the actual robbery. Though Trevor may seem like a crackhead at times, he is actually rather smart. Luckily for him, he suspects something has been up with Brad. He saw Brad get shot at North Yankton, and also takes suspicion to the fact that he cannot visit him inside of Bolingbroke even though it has visitor privileges. For someone like Brad, the robbery he committed was harsh, sure, but it's been a very long time. He would be allowed visitors by this time, and Trevor knows that. Then, when Brad gets involved in the conversation at Michael's house, he finally asks Michael the question he's been thinking about for a very long time. Exactly who was buried in Michael's grave in North Yankton? He even says himself that he wanted to see something different. He wanted to believe in a fairy tale, in which both Michael and Brad made it out of North Yankton alive.
I don't know why I didn't see it. I guess I didn't want to. Fuck! Maybe I knew all along. I'm gonna find out for sure.
This was beneficial to his mental health until the truth was finally revealed. Of course, he then comes around to Michael and actually helps save him in the mission, The Wrap-Up. Although after the mission, he claims to have only saved him to help him rob the Union Depository. Although, me personally, I highly doubt that is the only reason why Trevor saved Michael. Despite all this happening, Trevor still loves Michael and has true emotions that he keeps hidden most of the time. This is furthered by the fact that he does not pull the trigger on Michael when he definitely could have up in Ludendorff. Also, it is hard to tell if the gun Trevor is holding is loaded because his hand is hiding the grip of the pistol, but we may never know. Michael also tells him at the house before Trevor leaves to North Yankton that after this last score, he would like to disband the gang. Trevor is saddened by this because for him, he says, it is not something he does sprawling out of nowhere. It is a lifestyle for him, not a choice. But clearly for Michael, that is not the case. Michael has a family to worry about, and for Michael, he's pretty set for the rest of his life. Sure, the Union Depository robbery would help him even more and probably set up his great-great-great-great-grandkids to live in Los Santos, but by no means does he have to do this job. It is completely up to him at this point. Unlike Michael, Trevor doesn't have a family to worry about, and even tells Michael no one cares for him, which is actually pretty sad, but unfortunately true. It seems like Trevor's life has been nothing but tragedy. Even at the end of the game, technically the last mission is called Mrs. Phillips, in which he comes home to his trailer to find his mother, who he also believes has been dead for a while as well. His mother requests medication, and Trevor goes and gets it, only to come back to an empty trailer. Everything seems to point to Trevor hallucinating his mother's appearance, as there is nothing to suggest that his mother was ever there to begin with, which is very sad and devastating for Trevor, but at this point in his life, I don't think he cares anymore. So, it would have been a plus for her to be alive, of course. But I don't think Trevor is necessarily bothered by this. However, with all that being said, Trevor is still somewhat crazy, but behind all his actions seem to have a purpose that most of the time is only reasonably seen by himself. Rockstar presented Trevor this way on purpose to make the trio of characters more versatile, but Trevor isn't always crazy. I'm sure Franklin and Michael have crazy sides to them, but Trevor just shows his more often, all the time, matter of fact. I also found it interesting that in the ending where you choose to kill Trevor, his mission is called Something Sensible, indicating that Rockstar doesn't really blame you for choosing that route. We of course know, however, that Death Wish is the canon ending because while Michael is not shown in GTA Online, which is present day, he is mentioned by Franklin in the contract. And then of course we worked directly with Trevor in the original heist update in a Series A funding. And hopefully we see him in more future appearances in GTA Online and hopefully in GTA 6 as well. And of course the same goes for Michael. We have never seen him in GTA Online, but we've seen Franklin recently. We saw Trevor in the past. Michael is the only one out of the trio to not make an appearance in GTA 5 Online currently. So hopefully in a future update, Michael is there and present and we get to work directly with him. And I'd be excited to see Ned Luke voice acting him again. All this is to say, I love Trevor. And to answer the question if he really is a bad person or not, it's very hard to tell, because the things he does are inherently bad and you can't deny that. But once you take a deeper dive into his mental thinking, maybe they have an excuse that is seen as reasonable. But regardless of what you think of him, his character was written so well. Trevor only gets better the deeper you dive, which is a telltale sign of good in-depth writing. When I first played GTA 5, I actually chose the ending to kill Trevor. I thought he was just too crazy, and at the time out of the three, not knowing which option does what, I chose the option to kill Trevor. But back then, I was much younger, and that's just what my mind saw at the time. I pretty much skipped every cutscene in the game, which is horrible. You should never ever do that. But doing that didn't allow me to see the true character that Trevor was. And even if I did, my mind was so naive at the time, I probably still wouldn't see it. In a way, Trevor's character actually reminds me of GTA 4. A darker overall theme. The longer it ages, the better it gets. And the older you get, the more you start to realize that maybe Trevor isn't so crazy after all. His character is definitely one of my favorites in the game, and although Stephen Ogg, who is Trevor's voice actor, didn't always used to love being recognized as Trevor in real life and such, it seems that recently he has come around to it, as he recently did a podcast with Ned Luke, who is Michael's voice actor, discussing GTA 5 and their experience working with Rockstar. So that's always cool to see. I think he always saw it as people thought he was Trevor in real life, but obviously no one truly thinks that. If someone does think that, they're probably like 8 and they haven't seen him past the game. So hopefully this can boost our chances of him being in GTA 6. But only time will tell. And with that being said, thank you all for watching so much. Thank you so much to my channel members. I really do appreciate it. If you'd like to become a channel member, all you have to do is subscribe, and then it takes over where the subscribe button would be, and you get some pretty cool perks. But if you don't, that's fine. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day or night or evening, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.